Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Hope everyone is fine and staying safe at home. Wish you all a very happy Ramadan. So, C2, you all must be ready for this week lesson. That is week 5, and this week topic is coordination and response to. In this week, we will discuss about the role of iris in controlling the amount of light entering the pupil. Let's talk about the objectives first. By the end of lesson, you will be able to identify the circular and the radial muscles of iris. You will be able to explain the role of antagonistic muscles to control the amount of light entering the eye. You will be able to describe the pupil reflex in response to bright light and in response to dim light, and outline the functions of sensory, relay, and motor neurons. Let's have a quick recap. The outermost white part of the eye is sclera, and the middle layer is choroid. As you can see, this choroid is modified as ciliary body and the iris. This iris encloses the pupil, a small hole in the eye that lets light enter in. So, how does iris controls the amount of light entering the eye? So in order for a person to see clearly, right amount of light should enter the eye. More light must enter in dim light and less light must enter in bright light. So this all is determined by the pupil. The size of pupil determines how much light enters the eye. Either it should receive less light or it should receive more light. So you can see the iris, and this iris is enclosing the small hole pupil. So again over here, iris and this small hole pupil. So as we have already discussed, the size of pupil determines the amount of light. And this is controlled by antagonistic muscles. What are antagonistic muscles? Antagonistic muscles are the muscles that work in pairs. If one muscle contracts, the other muscle relaxes. So there are two set of antagonistic muscles that are found in the iris. They are the circular muscles and the radial muscles. So circular and radial muscles, they are found in the iris. Now let's talk about the circular muscles first. The circular muscles, they are arranged in a circle round the pupil. And the radial muscles, they are arranged radially like the spoke of a bicycle wheel. They are called antagonistic muscles because when one set contracts, the other set relaxes, and vice versa. Let me show you the diagram. So you can see the circular muscles. The circular muscles, they are arranged in a circles, and the radial muscles, they are arranged in radially like a spoke of bicycle wheel. So what happens in bright light? So in bright light, circular muscles of the iris contract, radial muscles relax, making pupil smaller in size. So remember, C for circular, C for contract, and C for constrict. In bright light, the circular muscles of the iris contract. Circular, C, contract, C, and the pupil constricted. It becomes smaller in size. So it reduces the amount of light entering the eye. So the opposite happens in dim light. The radial muscles contract and the circular muscles relax, making pupil increased in size, larger in size, and thus increasing the amount of light entering the eye. So whenever you enter a room where there is a dim light, so what happens? The radial muscles contract and the circular muscles relax. So let's talk about the bright light. In bright light, pupil size is decreased. It's smaller, it's getting constricted because of the circular of muscles of iris that contract and radial muscles of the iris, they relax. And in dim light, the circular muscles relax, radial muscles contract, making pupil dilated, increased in size. So you can see a contracted pupil, constricted pupil, and a dilated pupil. Okay, now let's talk about the reflex section. What is a reflex section? You have studied it in the previous lesson, coordination and response 1. So reflex section is an automatic, involuntary, immediate response to a specific stimulus. It's protective in nature. So depending on the intensity of surrounding light, iris makes automatic adjustment to ensure that retina receives correct amount of light. So it is a protective reflex. Too much light can damage your eye, or it can give you excessively bright image. And too little light, it would result in an indistinct image. So it is important that you receive correct amount of light, and this is done by the pupil reflex. So stimulus, change in light intensity when you are in a bright light. So receptors in the retina, they get stimulated, and the message is sent through sensory neuron in optic nerve to the brain, where the message is interpreted, and again through motor neuron, the message is sent to the effector, the radial and circular muscles of iris. So pupil reflex is a type of reflex section. So there is a receptor. We have talked about the receptors found in the retina and the effector that are found in the iris. The size of pupil changes as a result of change in light intensity. We have already discussed it. However, when light intensity becomes unbearable, it decreases the size of, and decreasing the size of pupil, it does not help. So when there is too much light over there, very bright light, it's unbearable, then your eyelids will then come close together to screen off the excessive amount of light from entering the eye. Hope girls, you understood it. The boys and girls, both the students, you have learned it well. So in the next lesson, we will discuss about the accommodation. See you soon.